Eric Adams is taking swift action when it comes to gun violence. He's vowing to make New York streets safer by reinstating some controversial policies and procedures.
So this overhaul comes on the heels, of course, of Friday's fatal police shooting, which claimed the life of Officer Jason Rivera and left his partner, Wilbert Mora, fighting for his life. Mayor Eric Adams says these changes will go into effect over the next 3 weeks. And to talk about that is the mayor himself to discuss where this all begins. Mayor Adams, good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here. And I just want to clarify that the aspects of the plan will take 3 weeks for the training for our new neighborhood safety. But we are already on the ground executing many parts of this plan in the subway system and going after some of the dangerous guns and gangs in the city.
Okay. All right. Thank you for clarifying that. And of course, before I get to the first question, I do, because I haven't spoken to you, like to express our deepest condolences to you and, of course, the NYPD for the loss of Officer Jason Rivera. Now, family and friends have been speaking out, Mayor, you know this, about how devoted Officer Rivera was to helping others, how dedicated he was to improving relations between police officers and communities of color. So before we get into the specifics of your plan, any update on Officer Mora's condition this morning?
He's in the hospital, and we join the family in prayer, the power of prayer. Hearts, as you indicated, hearts go out to the family. These were heroes that were ambushed, and so we're hoping that, just to continue to pray on behalf of Mora and his family.
And we definitely are praying for them. Well, let's get to your blueprint now, the blueprint to end gun violence. It calls for newly created neighborhood safety teams comprised of 400 officers. Now, is this a new take on the beat cops that used to patrol neighborhoods when you were still on the force?
No, it's a little different. What we're doing here, and I really wanted New Yorkers to understand the metaphor that we're dealing with a sea of violence. And like all seas, rivers feed the sea, and that's exactly what's happening here. NYPD is only one river that we must dam to stop the violence. But we have to get our federal government, our state lawmakers, our prosecutors, our mental health professionals. We have to dam every river to stop the violence that we're seeing. NYPD is doing its job. 6,000 guns removed off the streets last year. Over 300 guns were removed this year since I took office. But the constant flow of guns that are coming in our city. And so this new unit that we're putting in place, they will use a modified version of police apparel so they can be identified right away. They're going to have body cameras to make sure no one is abusing their authority. And then they're going to be well-trained, conflict resolution, police tactics, how to use precision policing with our gun suppression unit to go after the trigger pullers in our city.
So those police officers in that specific unit, right, you say they're going to be easily identifiable, and they're going to be concentrated in 30 precincts where 80% of the violence occurs. So where are those precincts, and how will they be integrated into those communities without causing friction to really answer the calls that came after the George Floyd protests?
Well, a couple of things that we should realize. The loudest is not the majority. And Ms. Jones in NYCHA is not on Twitter. She wants her police, and that's what I heard on the campaign trail. And so we could have the justice we deserve and the safety we need. And those officers are going to be, as you just indicated, Dan, 30 precincts, 80% of the violence. So we're going to deploy our personnel to those 30 precincts, and we don't want to dictate and broadcast where they're going to let the bad guys know, but we are strategically placing people on the ground there. Not only with precision policing, Dan, we're going to do precision resources. Let's go after some of these young people that are on the pathway of violence and stop them from continuing down that road. That's the combination of intervention and prevention that I talk about all the time.
And you're talking about some of these new tools, right, in the plan, which calls for facial recognition and other technology to identify those who are carrying guns. So, Mayor, how will those tools work to, say, not profile someone, and where specifically will they be deployed?
Well, they're going to be deployed in areas where the violence is the highest, and they're going to be deployed in other areas where violence may not be high, but they're feeding the violence. We sometimes forget. We look at the person in blue jeans who's carrying a gun. No one's looking at the person in a three-piece suit three-piece blue suit that's bringing guns into communities. People can walk into impoverished communities with bags of guns, but because they don't fit what people think is a criminal, they're able to get away with that. No, we want to target the flow, the sellers, the dealers, the people who bring guns in, as well as those who are using guns on our streets. And we're going to strategically target those areas to deal with gun violence.
But how does a facial recognition aspect of it actually work?
Perfect example. The technology is out there. It could be used to help close the case. You can, right now, some of the technology that we looked at, Dan, you can have a photo of someone who did a shooting, and within 8 seconds, you'll be able to identify everywhere where they publicly showed their photo and picture and get an identification on them to help you close the case. So we're going to use technology to stop the violence and those who hide under the cloak of secrecy as they create violence in our city.
See, over the summer, though, former Governor Cuomo, he declared a disaster emergency on gun violence. And when he did that, he started the state police gun trafficking interdiction unit. And they were supposed to stop the flow of guns into the city. Have you seen that relationship at all? I mean, does it really exist? You know, police departments who are supposed to be networking with each other, telling each other where they're seeing the guns, yet we're still seeing gun violence. So is that working? That plan working at all?
Yes, great question. And so there's several different task force and groups that are coming together. There's one that comes together every morning, and it is extremely impressive. I called for this on the campaign trail, and when I spoke with President Biden last year, that we needed help from the federal, state, and city agencies, ATF, FBI, NYPD, probation, parole, prosecutors. Every morning they meet. And it was put in place in August of last year after we called for it, and I want to thank the president for doing this. And it is allowing us now to go after the dangerous trigger pullers. Look at what they did in Brooklyn with DA Eric Gonzalez. He took down dangerous gangs, and let me tell you what happened after he did so. Shootings plummeted. What we must do is go after the small number of people that are wreaking danger and havoc, and then we must tweak some of our laws in Albany. You can't have a 14, 15, 16-year-old being exploited by adults, carrying guns, and going to family court no matter how many times they do it. This just does not make sense, and we need to really be honest about that.
So let's talk about the bail reform laws that you're just mentioning right there, right? Because how do you plan then to work with someone like Assembly Speaker Carl Heastie on changing bail reform, since it was under his leadership that it was drafted and it passed, right? So if we're going to roll some back, what's the conversation happening in Albany?
Well, Dan, I'm not in charge of the federal government. I'm not in charge of Albany, the council, or the district attorneys. I'm in charge of my police department through my police commissioner. What I must do is show New Yorkers what are the rivers. And then I must engage in real conversation. Carl is not only the leader of the assembly, Carl is a friend. Same with Latrice Walker, the assemblywoman. I need to sit down with them and show them what happened after we did raise the age and when we did bail reform, so we can tweak in certain areas to not allow dangerous people to continue to be on our streets. That is going to come with conversation and data so they can see. But the reality is I must make New Yorkers safe no matter what happens in Albany or the federal government. All I can do is continue to use my bully pulpit to get them to understand we must be safe. We could have the justice and the safety. They both go together. This is my life work, and I'm going to continue doing that.
Mayor, we've run out of time, but I just want to quickly ask you about what your efforts are going to be to stop the crime that we're seeing on the subways.
You know, when you look at the subway system, we hit the ground right away, the police commissioner and I and the governor. We're doing 22,000 inspections in our subway system. 1,000 new officers are down in the system doing inspections as well. We need to now deal with the mental health aspects of it. We're going to partner with mental health professionals and police officers and be honest with ourselves. There's nothing dignified about allowing people to sleep, live on the subway system. We're moving from that model. We're going to go to a model, those who need care and endanger to themselves and others, we're going to have them get the resources and remove from the system to go to the facilities that are appropriate to deal with their issues that they're facing.
So it's still an option to go to a shelter, not a demand?
No, it's not a demand to go to a shelter, but it's not going to be a way of life to live in our subway system if you are in danger to yourself or others.
Understood. We're out of time here, Mayor Eric Adams. Appreciate you being here to lay it all out, and we'll talk to you next time, okay?
Take care. Good to see you.
Good to